So, Delna and Neville, you've worked together in the past and you're working together now on so many new projects, so many new clients. Tell me how you all individually approach transformation.
First of all, it's an absolute pleasure to work with people that I've known for years, right? Over the years, we've developed a style and a way of approaching clients and looking at clients differently. I think everyone says that. The uniqueness comes from the fact that now it's been what, 20 plus years of working with the corporate world, officially, unofficially. I started as a teenager. So, it's always been a passion. Business has always been a passion. And for me, a good transformation really is about understanding an organization around the three pillars, right? The strategy, the ops, and the people. Now, this is known as a framework. What makes it different is the way we approach it, right? So, I mean, we've always talked about this. Somebody comes to us and says, we want to do 2x. And the truth is that every organization is always talking about it's that everyone thinks, okay, like, you know what, double kar denge. Like, double kar denge is like a common conversation, right? But every organization is having that double ka conversation and thinking that's how it's done. And then you just beat up people about it, right? The other day also, I was reviewing a client and we actually looked at it. You remember, Neville, I mentioned to you, everyone had the same uniform target given
Yeah,
to them.
yeah,
And it's like there was no logic. And then when we started breaking it down, we're asking, okay, so what is the logic and how did you expect to see this level of growth, right? There's nothing backing it. So the way we approach it is, in that sense, it's a lot more depth. It's not superficial. It's from the fact that we have that kind of experience that we have. Invariably, we also have very complementary skills, right? In the sense that I've actually always been indexed on the business model, business strategy, business structuring, financial side of it, whereas Neville has always had the strength on the brand, the marketing, the go to market, the market turnaround side of it. And maybe, Neville, you could kind of talk about some of that
sure.
you've always seen as well.
So I think what Delna is saying is very, very important to look at a client from not just aspiration, but also ability. So when she mentioned 2x, maybe it's 1.8x. And I think a lot of people don't push back and say, no, this is not who you are. This is not what you are capable of doing. And I think we do that. I think Delna has been very, very transparent with a lot of clients to say, okay, you may want to be ABC, but for the first 3 years, you will have to be A and you have to be B. And then it's a process. It's not something that you just switch on and say, okay, this consultant has come in, they're going to tell you 5 things and you're going to do it and you're going to change. There's something called the DNA of the company. There's something called what people actually think of their own company. And we've seen this in the past where the founder thinks, we are this kind of a company. But the actual people who run the company, the actual people who are part of the company, are something else. And that's when these misalignments happen. And that's when, Delnar and DAC come into the picture and say, okay, look, in a very transparent way, this is who you are. You may want to be somebody else, but this is who you are. You want to be that, then it's a process. And be very, open about it. Okay, so fine, you don't need us just now. You may need us in a year two, year three. You need this right now. And I think that transparency is very, very important to
Yeah, I
say, okay,
think I agree with you on that because it's not that we don't. We do. We've done the 10x,
yeah,
right? I'm actually more known for the breakthrough thinking, right? But the reality is we've got a lot of legacy clients as well, or we've got legacy clients who are incubating new businesses, and their DNA, as
yeah,
as Neville is talking about, it doesn't actually encourage it, right? So you talk about it and then you do the two things out of the 10 things that you've got to do, and then you expect the results, right? Or you think that a consultant will come in and it's a miracle kind of thing, and it's not going to happen. And the truth is, that's not how transformations work. They're hard work, and it's always led by people.
yeah. And also, transformation is about execution. A lot of people miss that point, right? Where they say, okay, tell us what to do. And then they do not do it. Maybe because of lack of ability, lack of a good partner, or, life gets in the way. Your BAU gets in the way, your day to day comes in the way, and say, okay, I'll do it tomorrow. So that execution is also very, very important, where we say, okay, these are 5 things. You've agreed on those 5 things. You agreed that this is what the company needs to do. But then you end up doing 2 or 3 things, and then a transformation doesn't happen. So execution is very, very important. So while we are not really execution partners, we help clients do that execution. We shepherd them through that process where you get We find the best partners for them. If they have existing partners, we work with those partners and make sure that the execution happens as per the plan. And that's another big gap that lot of consultancies don't do, where they say, okay, we've told you what to do, that's it, our job is over. But I don't think the job is over, because that's actually maybe three-fourths of the job that is there. That one-fourth that is remaining is very important, which is execution. And if you get that right, then that's true transformation.
Yeah, and I'll add to that as well that we don't substitute talent within an organization, in the sense that we are not going to do it for you, or we are not going to be, we will guide. We are very much present. We also put a skin in the game, if it's especially for sales acceleration, without doubt, right? We do take the variable component in, because we're like, if you're not getting the results with what we're saying, we are also not going to be compensated for it. But other than that, we are very clear that everything has to be done by the organization. It's lasting legacies. I think a lot of people don't realize that like we are just not interested in creating stuff for the quick, and I mean, there is, we don't do this for publicity, we don't do it for that, right? So if you're not creating a lasting legacy, and lasting legacies are not created by this flash
Quick
and we
fixes.
quick
Quick fixes.
fixes, right? So I would say that would be our
I
approach.
think you bring in the real talk. I think that's what it is. You bring in the real talk and
Yeah.
expect them to do the hard work, and they should be.
Yeah, and Sean, quite frankly, a lot of times, there is a bit of, who do you brainstorm with? This is a question I get asked all the time, right? And well, that's an answer for another time. But that same question applies to the senior leadership, the top management, the founder, the chairperson. All of them have that challenge. So what happens is, people like us who have done it, who understand it, also land up being that, right? So people with who you brainstorm and you create, and we see ourselves as that. So if you've got all this knowledge, you might as well use that knowledge, those insights, and help people think through their challenges. I would say that's something that we are very excited to do. We love doing it, keeps us happy and engaged, and I'm really glad that Neville and I are going to be working on a lot more projects very soon. It's been on and off, and now it's going to be like a continuous fun. I'm looking forward to it. I only work with people I like.
Neville, what are your thoughts? What are you excited about?
Take on what they're saying. You do work with people that you like, and you reach a certain stage where you want to be transparent with your clients. You want to be open. You want to be respected for the opinion you're bringing, rather than the opinion they want to hear. And I think a lot of agencies fall into that trap. My client wants to do this, so let us build our ecosystem around that. And there's no harm in that. That's a process. That's a way a lot of agencies work. It works very successfully for them, and dare I say, successfully for clients. But pardon the French, I want to cut the bullshit. I want to get down and say, okay, I worked in this industry for a long time. I understand marketing. I understand the consumer, and I'm an expert. So I'm going to give you what I think is right. You have a point of view, great. Let's discuss it. Let's come to a conclusion. But I'm not going to tell you what you want to hear. I'm going to tell you what you need to do. And then, yes, it's a process. We discuss, we look at the pros and cons, and we come to a conclusion. And I think that's what's very important for both of us, that we want to be true to what our profession is, and we want to be true to our clients so that they get the best of what we can deliver to them.
Absolutely. And honestly, if I also think about it, a lot of the attention has now moved to Asia, and with Neville's vast experience across Far East and Southeast Asia, my own experience in in Southeast Asia, and having worked with Far East Asia, we're very excited to actually look at what we're going to do with brands coming in from there as well, right? There is a lot of excitement around that in the country, a lot of conversation around it, and I think that's something that we are definitely excited at looking at as
Yeah.
well. So it's going to be a fun time.
Yeah, absolutely. Both your minds together, I can only imagine what's coming,
Yeah.
coming up, coming soon.
Thank you. Thanks a lot.
Thank you.